Alright, place this right here, and there we go. All nice and ready. Oh! Hey there! You're just in time to see me prepare for the upcoming Godzilla -1 re-release this weekend. You see, back in December 2023, I went to the local movie theater in order to watch it, and it was amazing. The plot was great, the actors were amazing, the music is so addicting to listen to. Hell, most of it's on my Spotify account at this point. And the effects are probably one of the best in terms of Godzilla movies. To this day, specifically the Japanese ones, their effects could be hit or miss. However, I will say this is probably one of my newest favorite movies of all time, right next to Shin Godzilla. You can tell I'm a bit more biased with this series than other movie series. But my only complaint with such a wonderful movie is that the colors just kept getting in the way. So the solution was simple. Wash out all the colors and make it how God intended, all in black and white. So to collaborate with that, I decided to take out all the colors around my proximity and make everything black and white. So now, everything can be just how it should be. Hey, Miss Purple. Godzilla is a long-running movie series that dates all the way back to 1954. With this lifelong experience, the famous kaiju has undergone numerous revisions, like the tragic nuclear beast that haunts Japan's past to Toho's haunting past. Now, to be fair, there are some more serious and very good films along with the B-rated movies that the public thinks the series is, but that's besides the point. The most notable thing to take from the series that cannot be argued about is the roster of kaiju that have taken place throughout the years, all with the unforgettable designs and roles that each Okay, maybe they can't all be winners. The point is, when the roster grew larger, the fans expected more fights between these monsters, and possibly against the king himself. So what better way to enact or reenact these monster fights through video games, most notably these 3 games that helped popularize the type of monster fighting that Godzilla will later be known for like 8 years, because PS4 Godzilla is kind of its own thing. Though I myself never got a chance to play these old Godzilla games, as I wasn't really much of a fan of Godzilla until 2014, it can't be ignored on how these games impacted the fan base, as Godzilla doesn't really get a lot of games, and when they do, they're a disappointment. So to have these games as the front lines of the Godzilla gaming library, as the fun and set standard monster party games that others should learn off of, is pretty neat, and I would play these games for the channel if only I had them. Now, I could just emulate them off an emulator, and that's ready to be used, but I'm more of a I must own at least a physical game before resorting to emulation type of guy. Nothing against emulation at all. Sure, we won't be able to look at each other in a similar way, but it's just more collecting, preserving a physical copy of the game that I'm more inclined to take care of, rather than a folder full of 1s and 0s that will most likely end up in the trash. Oops. So what better way to live in that magic than a modern spiritual successor such as I think it's called Gigabash. Now, this is a very interesting game to get my hands on, and it's all on modern platforms. So let's get right into the checkout screen. It's a good thing swallowing probably tastes like orange juice. Oh shit, it is! Well, I think I own it on Steam, so I might as well use what I got, or else I won't get anything done. So this is Gigabash, a game where you get a group of 4 to play as monsters and do the one thing humanity tends to with all its might and power. Beat the shit out of each other. Yes, this is a monster party game where you send up to 4 players as monsters in arena maps, all with the premise of beating the crap out of each other, but the maps are actively trying to kill you in the process, like military map, volcano map, and purple radiation. In all seriousness, this is a modern spiritual successor to those Godzilla games from back then. Gigabash was developed and published by Passion Republic Games, an independent Malaysian game development studio that was inspired by monster games of the past, along with others like Rampage, Gundam vs. War Monsters, and Power Stone. The game was released to Windows PS4 and PS5 on August 5th, 2022, then released on the Switch, Xbox One, and Series X/S on August 4th, 2023. So basically almost a whole year for the other platforms, so at least they were on point on releases. The design of the game systems were developed to be simple enough for anyone to pick up a controller and immediately understand what each command can do, with enough depth to make up combos for characters to do extra damage and extra flashiness for when you beat up your friends in the brawl. Because of the simplicity, it's easy for anyone to pick up the game, and even if they lack the ability to read colors. Which is the crap of it. There's also the Gigabar, I think that's what it's called, that fills up every time you do a successful action from doing basic attacks at your opponent, grabbing and throwing objects at the opponent, or grabbing these orbs that might spawn in once after a monster is defeated or after their Giga mode. This is one of the more unique aspects of the game that I don't think the other games had beforehand. Speaking of which, the Giga mode is when the bar fills up and the Titan becomes the real kaiju and now towers over all other players, ready to show who's really in charge. In this state, only other monsters in Giga mode can hurt you, and you deal significantly more damage than you do before the change. To make it fair for those that aren't in Giga mode, they can still interact with the Giga Chad monster, and instead of damaging it, it will increase the charge rate of the bar so that it can get to the Giga Chad mode faster and punch the initiator of the fight. The other way to damage those in Giga mode is the Smash Ball, Giga Ball, which works basically the same way. You break the ball, and once it's broken, you have a limited time to use your ultimate attack for a large amount of damage. Aside from that, the game is fairly simple with its controls and mechanics that just makes the whole thing dumb fun to have with friends, until one decides to play Wooly and walks you in the damn snowball roll. Now the controls are nice and all, but let's see what we're really here for. The monsters. In the mainline kaiju, or titans as Gigabash refers to them, we have 10 original characters stemming from a face only a mother could love, Rosemont, an oversized plushie, and a living construction site. Each beast has their own pros and cons that make each unique in which the category of fighting they like to fight in. Like Giga Man being a speedy combo master character, and PP Jarus having a zoning control style in order to combat the more brawl heavy titans. Now if you see in the bottom here, we have DLC characters from the Godzilla series and the Ultraman series. Oh sweet! Over the Godzilla roster, we have the big four of the series. We have Godzilla, the king himself, Mechagodzilla from the Millennium movies, and, well, they can't all be winners. Well, instead of the usual kaiju alongside with Ghidorah, we have Gigan and Destroya, who are honestly a fine choice of the games, as these kaijus do not get as much attention and recognition in the public audience, unlike the oversized Bug and Dragon. Each are given their own style that fits each character traits that they are known for in the movies. Gigan is fast and causes bleeding when attacking with his buzzsaw. Mechagodzilla likes to attack in the distance with a missile barrage and blast with a dash to help maneuver him around for greater distance. Destroya being a juggernaut with a strong yet fluid attacks alongside with a life-saving and potential killing a baby kaiju by dropping them in the air. And Godzilla's slow but powerful style with a focus of strong melee attacks and grabs alongside with his well-known atomic breath in order to snipe enemies from afar. This alone is what got me to give this game a try, as an opportunity to play as the G-Man himself, destroying buildings and fighting other monsters, something I just did not want to miss out on. On the other end of the spectrum, there's the Ultraman selection, and here we got Ultraman, Evil Alien, Ultraman II, and a woman. Now I've yet to buy this DLC as my resources have been put into more pressing matters. And you'll be right here. As for the ones I did try out, it is easy to see the work put into each of the monsters within the games, each with a style that others might prefer over the other, and a chance to try out a style that might be out of your usual comfort zone. I only play as the Godzilla cast for the entirety of the game. I have nothing against the other monsters, I just prefer playing as the main thing I'm here for. Like, there's no way anyone could get mad at me for this, with amazing details like the Godzilla sliding kick as his dash attack. That's hilarious. I did try some of the other monsters in story mode, as that was the only way to unlock Rawa, as he was the only monster I was interested in, and the story will only allow 4 specific monsters to be played. Which reminds me, the story mode is a nice selection to learn more of this game, and it is short. This mode consists of 4 different campaigns, each with their own continuity, as despite the 4 overlap with one another, they tend to have different outcomes in fights and in endings. At first, I thought it was just a different perspective views, but in PP Jarus' story, it clearly shows him winning the fight against Gorgon when the first meet when he flies away to defeat Gigaman, and Thundertross, while in Thundertross' story, clearly sees you being this alien toy, with Gigaman leading up to a whole different anime cliffhanger that gets immediately resolved by old-fashioned mecha violence. Yeah, the story is just neat. Inconsistent, but neat. These are fun lore segments that are loosely connected to each other, and that's fine, honestly. It's a cool way to have a perspective on how the world of Gigabash works. Despite all this carnage and these giant monsters, the people in these cutscenes clearly treat this like it's a normal Tuesday. You play as 4 different titans: Gorgon, PP Jarus, Wooly, and Thundertross, each having their own story to tell that, again, only loosely connects to one another, so don't expect an overall plot to happen in these chapters. Each titan has other goals and minigames to complete on certain chapters, but as you progress in their stories, they usually end up defeating a certain titan to complete the chapter. As for the cutscenes and dialogue, it's pretty good, as the cutscenes are still images that are only animated slightly in certain occasions, but it does the job done on showing what's going on with the cool art to back it up, and needs how we get to see in more detail how the world interacts with the monsters. As for the dialogue, it does tell you believing on how these characters would interact with the monsters, and some funny gags like the man in the Mecha Jar's suit kind of being a loser for always losing. Out of the 4 stories, my personal favorite goes to Wooly, as he is just this adorable childlike titan that just wants to have fun and accidentally gets himself in trouble without even realizing it. And almost each chapter you complete, he parties with the local yetis of the current environment that he is in, and kinda adorable seeing these large monsters just having innocent fun. Now, he did do immense property damage and possibly unintentionally killed some people, but that's besides the point. The story mode's main purpose, aside from existing, is to have the 3 of the monsters locked behind it until you beat at least the first 2 stories. As for the 3rd Titan, Concrete, can also be unlocked by reaching level 10 in your personal account. But this is only if you want to try something different outside the multiplayer brawler modes if you want to do something new. Well, that was story mode, so let's check on the others, like arcade mode. Here we have a simple one-on-one fights with 9 to 10 main casts that are set to random on what monsters in the order you might fight them in. All you have to do is select the Titan to start. So I kept picking the entire Godzilla roster, plus Rawa because Rodan wasn't good enough to be in this game. You can set into easy, normal, or hard mode depending on how much you care about your self-esteem as a fighter. Easy mode is well not worth really trying unless you're trying to learn the game, and normal mode is fairly competent when you are halfway through the fights, as you can see that some of the monsters are becoming fairly challenging. As for hard mode, well, it's kind of bullshit. The monsters here will either block all your attacks, spam long distance attacks to keep you at bay, or if you're fighting Gigaman, you'll get comboed to the other side of the fucking moon. It doesn't help that the final round, the final monster will be in Giga Chat mode the entire time and will possibly lock you to their combos, leaving you defenseless and unable to defeat the final round. Which is why I kept getting a B rank on the hard mode attempts, and I can feel my self-esteem reaching to new lows. So I gave up on it and moved on in the new hope of boosting myself back up. So let's see the next game mode. I'm going to pick Godzilla to play first because he is no red-winged dino.
A few moments later.
This isn't so bad. Just a small couple of waves of weak kaiju. No problem. Just going to power right through them.
5 minutes later.
Okay, they are starting to hurt, but that's not a problem. Just gotta keep going. No problem at all.
Many minutes later.
So Onslaught is one of those fighting the wave game modes where you just keep fighting until you eventually die from the constant fighting. Every 5th round these columns would spawn and that will give you a temporary buff for the next 5 rounds. Yellow increases your defense, purple gives you a big charge of the Gigabar, and red for an attack buff. You can only use one of the 2 that spawn, and it's up to you to decide which one you'll use to help out until you reach the next checkpoint. This mode was fun, but I didn't try more than 2 attempts as I don't care about these type of modes too much. I used to play Halo Firefight mode and Call of Duty Zombies, but eventually after a while it just kinda gets repetitive and it's whatever. You can have a player too, but I only have online friends, not real life friends, so multiplayer couch play isn't for me, I guess. On my second attempt I used Mecha G and I died by a triple threat Gigaman comboing me to the loser screen. Damn it. Okay, maybe I'll be juggling the air in this game mode. Going to be the G-Man again and set the others to random. And let's do the smallest, so the first to win 3 times wins. Alright, let's see what we have to fight. Son of a bitch! So minigame mode, you're set through a series of minigames, each with their own set of rules and specifics to win on whichever game you're on. This is a lot of dumb fun and a good break from the brawler action, and holy hell, I almost lost to Gigaman. Alright, we tried all the other modes. Now, time to see what multiplayer matchmaking has in store for me. Okay, time to round up my online friends to finally get this party on the way. Well, at least it's not Rodan somehow diving down on me constantly. This is where the game truly shines at, as an arcade-like brawler against 4 friends, just duking it out, and honestly this was just a fun time where there is a full party. Specifically when there's a full party of players. What I mean is when there are 3 players alone, the games can get equally one-sided, as if one of the 3 players decides to hide and not do anything, it will eventually lead up to that player winning as they have the most health, or fall behind quickly since they most likely did not charge up their Gigabar. It doesn't help if someone is playing Destroy It, they could possibly endlessly heal themselves with the grab X combo and then move on to the third opponent as if nothing happened. But when you have all 4 in the present, that's when it gets fun. Sure, you can be a walking construction site and try to hide, but eventually one of the other 3 players will realize where you are sooner and might even snipe you with eventual or accidental atomic breath. I say accidental because the amount of times I bullied a specific friend here, I kept hitting with a fully charged breath when I was aiming for the other 2. My bad. Aside from the finicky connection errors, the game is easy to set up, and there's even a team battle, as we found out when two of us won, and it turns out they accidentally became a team without any of us realizing it. If you do play teams and you have friends that like to play as dumb characters like Lily and spam the grab snow combo, I suggest picking Mecha Godzilla and running like a bitch so you can attack them from a safe distance. Some may call you a coward or annoying for doing this, but can you really blame them when the snowball can grab you out of any attack you do with no time to recover from being grabbed again? And if you do, then it takes one to know one. The games can get very chaotic, especially with the hazards on the maps, so even with practice of the game beforehand, this can be anybody's game. I should know, for everyone else this was their first time playing, and I lost for the duration of the night playing this game. But that doesn't matter, since we are having too much fun playing the game and figuring out what pose we should make on our victory screen, whether it be generic or funny stupid. This game might have some competitive value in it, but honestly I can't see this as a competitive game. Just a good party game to have with friends and to find new ways to learn what you hate about each other. Listen, if it's a party game that doesn't make you hate each other, then that's a failed party game, because who wouldn't get annoyed by an overweight man saying he's the moon 4 times in a row? And yet here we are still playing and more worried on what pose or taunt we want to end it with. Oh no, this is a fun game to play, and I'm more than willing to play sometime in the future with friends, both online and possibly online when I learn how to communicate with society. There's clearly a lot of work to put into this game, from the simple game systems and modes to explore and learn even without prior knowledge of these types of games. The extras shown here are full of monsters' individual lore, character designs, and even the combos you can learn on each individual monster. Along with that, there's even full details of the maps that you can play and unlock. Having a gallery full of the game art designs of each individual map and character is honestly really cool and easy to see how much detail they put into each of the projects they were given. This type of stuff is cool to have, and rather than being locked behind a paywall for some sort of special edition for DLC, it's all unlockable by just playing the game as any of the monsters you feel like playing. Even the DLC characters have lore and details available to see and inspect, even if you don't have the DLC pack that you're looking at. This is a good way to have a closer peek of what the optional DLC provides in case you were debating on getting said pack. Overall, this might be possibly one of the best modern monster party games you can play in this day of age, and I do highly recommend it, even if it's just for dumb fun. Now, excuse me, I gotta get to the theater. I'm about to be late, so let's see how much time I have. Maybe I should stop talking for so much.